We were attending a church in southwestern Minnesota, and our pastor announced that we were going to have special meetings with Charles Shepson, who just recently started a new ministry, and we were thrilled because he was our dean of students in college, so we knew him. And what he was praying about and starting just hit our hearts, because we had gone through a time of seeking God, even though we were content in our position in the church and in our community. There was something missing, and we just wanted to serve God in a special way where He wanted us.
When we first heard about Fairhaven, we had been seeking the Lord about a ministry opportunity. We had worked in Bible camps for like 6 different summers, and it just seemed like the retreat ministry suited us well. And when we heard that Dr. Shepson was coming to our city, to our church, and that he was starting this new ministry, it just something clicked with us, because we had been doing a lot of different things, had our own business, and we were involved in the church and involved in the community, but it seemed like it was just preparation, and we weren't sure for what. And then when we heard about Fairhaven Ministries, it was like, this is it. This is what the Lord has been preparing us for. And so we were excited to hear about that, and then a few months later, Dr. Shepson and his wife actually arrived, and we hosted them in our own home, got to know more about the ministry and get caught up with them. And after 3 or 4 days, we just knew that's what the Lord wanted for us, and so we asked if there might be a place at Fairhaven for us, and so that got the application process going, and about a year later, we were at Fairhaven.
I think I've got the best seat in the house for my role at Fairhaven. I'm one of the hostesses, and I get to welcome guests as they arrive. I get to answer the phone and take reservations and answer questions. You never know if it's going to be a missionary in a different country calling, or a pastor that's in a crisis situation. And I just pray every morning, Lord, let your voice and your love come through the phone to hurting people or to happy people. We get to see God touch lives while they're here. Some come very, very discouraged, hurting, and as they're here, we see God renewing, reviving, healing, and they walk out. Now, their situation may not have changed back at home, but God has touched them while they're here. And we get to take payment for rental and arrange even for finances with different scholarships or people that help to pay for them being here.
My role at Fairhaven has changed through the years, and we're in a transition time of change. But in the beginning, Dr. Shepson said he just needed someone to fill a number of different roles, and so I've worn a number of different hats through the years of planning and developing the site plan, developing, actually digging the ground and building. And through the years, it's changed in that we started using a lot of volunteers. We were, in a sense, trying to save money, but I saw that as an opportunity to learn through our volunteers, because when I came to Fairhaven, I had never built anything, but had a background in electrical and a little bit in plumbing, and had been around construction, but it's been many years of on-the-job training, and it just seemed like the Lord provided someone just at the right time with a skill that could not only help us, but it was a time for me to learn, and I was able to build on one thing at a time, and it just seemed like when a project came, I was given the insight and whatever to be able to do it, and I didn't always know ahead of time, but it just seemed like I just was able to do the next thing. So, and through the years of just building and organizing some of the volunteers and working with contractors to complete a project, like I say, my role has changed through the years, and as we're totally built out now and we won't be building anymore, my job has changed more from building to more maintenance and refurbishing, since some of the units that we have are getting outdated and need repair and updating. So that's the role that I am in right now. Also, one of my titles is Special Projects, and I don't know if that's just because I'm special or that it's something that no one else wants to do or can do, so I take on those projects. So that's my current role.
This ministry is so unique and important to my heart because what God's doing. He heals His people. And there's a chorus in a song that goes, "Here I am, Lord. Is it I, Lord? I've heard you calling in the night." And the last words of that chorus is, "I will hold your people in my heart." And what a privilege to do that. God's people loving and not judging, but letting this be a refuge and a healing place for them, or for happy places and honeymooners and family reunions. It's just been really special to see God bringing His people here. We haven't used much publicity at all. It's been word of mouth, people telling other people. And so every time a reservation is made, we get to say, "Thank you, Lord, for bringing your people here."
This ministry is important because it seems as though people need a place, a refuge, to get away from their busy lives. Their lives a lot of times are in turmoil, and I'm sure some of them feel it's chaos at times. But it seems like we keep going back to the fact that Fairhaven is a peaceful place. And I see my role in providing that is to interact with staff and sometimes guests that I'm hoping that guests can see that we are happy, contented, and we create that atmosphere of peace because this is kind of corny, but there's a commercial that comes out of California called "Happy Cows Make Better Cheese," and I just think that happy, contented staff create a happy environment, and I think the guests can see that.
What gives me joy in serving here is knowing it's for eternity. It isn't just a passing fix-it, but it is God working in the lives of His people for His glory. And the ramifications of that we won't know until eternity. And that is neat.
I receive joy and satisfaction from seeing that the facilities we have here show that we care and that we are not extravagant, but we try to build in such a way that there's quality and our guests feel special, and it's not like they're just coming to a rustic camp, but it's a place that we've, just showing special care and detail. We feel that everything that we do should be done really well, and so when people come in and see our cottages or our lodge or whatever, they see that we've used good materials and we care about how we build, and hopefully that translates into them feeling good about being there, and it starts that healing process. So I get satisfaction out of looking around and seeing the buildings and realizing that I've had a part in that, and so there's a certain amount of joy and fulfillment in seeing that. So.
The vision of Fairhaven, I believe, has remained the same for 33 years. Dr. Shepson had this vision years and years ago, and I believe it still remains the same. Now it comes out in different ways because we've changed. The campus has grown. We've been able to accommodate more people. We were able to just build one unit at a time, and that was exciting though, because God provided for every single building on the grounds, and we didn't have hardly anything when we started, and to see God provide and to have established this 100-acre campus totally debt-free in this day and age is just a miracle. But it wasn't all at once. It was just one step at a time, trusting Him and seeing Him provide. And so the vision of Fairhaven has been to provide a refuge and a place for His people. And I think that has remained the same, and that is due to the directors that He has provided with a heart and passion for the ministry, as well as the board. We just have the neatest board. We feel like family with them. So.
I see the heartbeat of Fairhaven looking toward people that need to be here, and so that involves a lot of times financial issues, and we've provided scholarships, and we have a great list of donors that have helped us through the years. I just think our philosophy of ministry, the fact that Fairhaven is faith-based, that we are not, we don't have any big endowment, but we trust the Lord. And I believe that trust comes out in a lot of small things, and so we feel that the guests, when they come on the grounds, they just sense that the Lord is there, because the staff and the leadership has been depending on the Lord and to provide financially and to provide staff. And so we're convinced that is all part of that feeling that the guests have mentioned a number of times, that they just feel God's presence. And so we believe that just that trust in God to supply, translates into that peace and whatever the guest really needs. So.
God brings people here from all over the world. We have a map that shows where our guests come from, and that is one of the most delightful things for our other guests to see where people have come from. They could be missionaries, they could be precious people from Israel, and you think of prophecy, There are groups from our country working with college age discipleship and salvation-based organizations. And it's so delightful to see missionaries coming here and having family reunions. Missionaries that have given their lives to serving Christ. And they don't really have any place to come home to, but they have their grown kids scattered all over. And they meet here at Fairhaven and share what God is doing in their families and for the next generation. So there's some real heartaches from missionaries that have gone through hard things, but they are faithful in preaching the gospel where God has called them to.
As a believer, I feel my role in evangelism is a little different in that I don't have a lot of contact with the guests. My contact is a lot more in the community with vendors and contractors. And we have felt from the beginning that we need to have a really good testimony. And so I would say I would lean toward a friendship evangelism. I'm not a person that is real direct in sharing the gospel, but I've tried to walk in integrity, and those that I've gotten to know in the community, I have a heart for them, and they know that they can trust me, and so that's my way of evangelizing the community, and hopefully that in turn will help our guests to leave Fairhaven knowing that they've been to a place that does have integrity and has a good testimony in the community. We hope and pray that Fairhaven remains true to its vision of equipping and restoring Christian workers, pastors, missionaries, through counseling and possibly just their time at Fairhaven. They've been encouraged, and their faith has been built up, and they see that there's hope. And so possibly from their time at Fairhaven, they can go back and be encouraged to try again. So hopefully we can provide that setting where they can do that, where there's that love and acceptance, no matter what reason they're at Fairhaven, that they feel loved and accepted by our staff. So hopefully that helps them to get back.
Over the years, we've had the privilege of meeting so many precious people as guests have arrived, but also for the volunteers God has brought here, and staff, cleaning gals, laundry gals, youth groups that have come to work on our pathways and bridges across the stream. And I think one of the neatest things is the supporters that we've had over the years that have not only sent financial support, but have prayed for us. And since we've been here so long, some of our supporters have been supporting us faithfully for years and years and years. And we just pray that God blesses them greatly, because they're part of a team. They're just as important to the ministry as we are. And so interacting with the staff, I think, has been one of the neatest things. When we joined the ministry, I was just all excited about meeting the guests and just being what God wanted me to be to them, not realizing that a lot of my role was going to be an encourager to other staff. And that takes time, because we have all gone through hard things, challenges, but also a brokenness. And that's not always fun, to go through brokenness as a staff. But really realizing God is sovereign and in control, and He is allowing things for our good, not for our harm, and developing us to be what He wants us to be, to minister to others.
Discipleship can take on a number of different faces. Sometimes it can be more intentional, but other times it's just as life plays out, our integrity and our desire to see those that we are in contact with would grow. I was just thinking a little bit ago of a verse that I read just this morning in devotions. It's as iron sharpens iron, the Lord changes us. Anyway, hopefully as we interact with other staff and confront problems, we model how to handle problems and how to develop our faith. And we've seen through the years that just bearing each other's burdens, praying together as a staff at staff meeting, sharing problems that we all have in our home and in our experiences. It's one way of encouraging and discipling each other, whether we think it's a formal discipleship or not. It's just growing by being around each other.
I think prayer is probably the most needed. We know that our Heavenly Father cares about everybody who comes here and everybody who is on staff, our financial needs, our discipleship needs, growing in grace and knowledge of Jesus. And after the prayer, put legs to your prayer. Come to Fairhaven and just see what God's doing, or send somebody. I think it's been so neat that over the years, churches have realized the need for their pastors to get away. And so some churches have sent their pastors or youth workers here for an R&R, or for counseling, or a sabbatical. That has been neat to see, where Christian workers have realized the words of Jesus to come away to a quiet place. And they may come for 4 to 8 weeks and just rest and renew themselves. Do maybe some study or maybe not, but just renew themselves in the Lord. And so for people to just even go on the internet and find out our website and see pictures and start praying for Fairhaven, which is so fantastic.
We are very dependent on others for financial support and to supply needed volunteers for some of our projects. It's been great looking back, having specific needs that those of us that were on staff didn't feel adequate for completing those projects. And it just seemed time after time the Lord would bring someone with those skills just at the right time, or a staff position was open and we needed someone, and He would provide just at the right time to fill that staff need. So again, that's one of those ways of the Lord has increased our faith and encouraged us in the way that He's provided. And we also have been grateful for the way our supporters have helped us through the years. When we first came to Fairhaven, we had 2 supporters, Gloria's mom and dad and my mom and dad. And we had sown some seeds, and there were others that joined later, but when we started, we thought we had strong faith, but looking back, we had weak faith, but I think we were trusting in Charles Shepson's faith, and that's a good lesson that faith is contagious, and we stepped out, and the Lord through the years increased our faith by providing the things we needed, and there were times when we were just overwhelmed. So.
Oh, one thing I would just love to add is I'm so grateful to God that He uses ordinary people to do extraordinary things, because I feel very small and ordinary at times, but I've seen God's faithfulness over the years that I can't explain in myself. And so with Paul saying, he must increase and I must decrease. And so just more of Jesus every day until we just step right over into His presence is exciting.
At this point in our life, we feel we are here because the Lord wants us here. We have not felt released to be anywhere else, although we are in a transition phase of nearing retirement or reassignment. And so for now, we feel the Lord wants us here, and we're seeing Him provide each day. There are times when we don't feel like we can contribute much, or we don't feel like we did when we were younger. We just take a day at a time and just do the next thing. So.